Now on to Asia for more rare and endangered animals. First, a success story from Mongolia. Przewalski's horse was declared extinct in the wild in 1969. Luckily, around 1900, several horses were captured for European zoos. Today, they are the only true wild horse, having never been domesticated. They're distant cousins of the domestic horse. Przewalski's horses have 2 more chromosomes than domestic horses. In 1977, a foundation was established with the objective of releasing the horses back into the wild. The first step was a breeding program aimed at diversifying the gene pool. In 1992, 16 horses were released into the wild. Several additional releases followed. The horses successfully reproduced, and by 2005 their status was changed to endangered. In 1993, one of the release areas became Hustay National Park, where these pictures were taken. Now on to the Indian subcontinent for tigers, of course, but there's more. This grumpy-looking fellow is the Indian one-horned rhino, found in northern India and southern Nepal. The Indian rhino is another success story. In 1908, there were only 12 rhino left in Kaziranga in Assam, primarily due to hunting, which was banned in 1910. Today, there are 2,000. Today, under 3,000 individuals exist in the world, but that's up from 2,500 in 2008, thanks to conservation measures. 90% of the population live in protected areas in India and Nepal. 2/3 of the total are in Kaziranga National Park in Assam. The armor-plated adults have few natural enemies, but calves are vulnerable to tigers. 2 national parks with a concentration of Indian rhinos, Chitwan in Nepal and Kaziranga in Assam, India, are UNESCO World Heritage Sites. The gharial is a critically endangered member of the crocodile family that once ranged across northern India and southern Nepal. Their long, narrow snout with 110 interlocking teeth is well suited to catching fish. Unfortunately, they also get caught in fishing nets. In 2006, the estimated population was 250 gharials, and their traditional range had been reduced by 98%. Today, through a variety of conservation programs in India and Nepal, the population has risen to an estimated 1,000. Now to tigers. The Bengal tiger is one of the biggest of the wild cats. They're the national animal of both India and Bangladesh. They're listed as endangered. In 1973, India launched Project Tiger, aimed at ensuring a viable tiger population and preserving habitat as a national heritage. We've seen tigers in Kanha and Pench national parks in central India, but a sleeping tiger in deep brush is not that satisfying. The best park for tigers is Ranthambore, once the private hunting reserve of the Maharajas of Jaipur. This is one of their hunting lodges. In 2014, there were 62 tigers in Ranthambore. The best time to see tigers is in the morning when they are looking for a place to sleep through the heat of the day, or late in the afternoon when they're getting ready for the evening's hunt. But this makes Ranthambore very popular, and in spite of efforts to limit the number of vehicles by sector in the park, news of a tiger sighting draws a crowd. Next stop is Hokkaido, Japan, for another success story. The red-crowned crane, or Japanese crane, is one of the rarest of cranes. The Japanese revere it as a symbol of luck, longevity, and fidelity. These handsome cranes were thought to be extinct in Japan due to overhunting and habitat destruction. But in 1926, a group of about 20 birds were discovered in the Kushiro marshes. Today, there are just under 1,000 birds in the Hokkaido resident population. That's about half of the total wild population in the world. These impressive birds stand 5 feet tall and have wingspan of 7 to 8 feet. In winter, they roost in the Sansuri River, which is fed by hot springs. And yes, it is cold in Hokkaido in the winter, but it's worth it. And now to somewhere a little warmer, Borneo, for a couple of endangered primates. The first is the Bornean Orangutan, a critically endangered species impacted by habitat destruction. There are estimated to be over 50,000 orangutans in the wild, so what's the big deal? Well, that number is estimated to be less than 14% of what was in the recent past. And if the trend continues, they will be extinct. Orangutans are hard to see in the wild, so we've been to 2 different rehabilitation centers on Borneo to see them. The Przewalski Center was opened in 1964 as the first rehabilitation center. It's faced a lot of criticism for its focus on tourism for revenue. There you can see orphans likely rescued from the pet trade, learning how to be orangutans. There's another area for adolescents and mothers with babies. While these efforts are noble, only a few will be able to return to the wild. If efforts to stop the proliferation of palm oil plantations and illegal logging aren't effective, there won't be any wild to return them to. Another victim of habitat loss in Borneo is the aptly named Proboscis monkey. They're one of the largest monkeys in Asia, weighing between 35 and 50 pounds. The males have a large nose, which they use to amplify their calls. The proboscis monkey is listed as endangered. Its total population has decreased by 80% in the past 30 years to around 7,000 individuals. We saw these at a reserve in the middle of a palm oil plantation. The reserve was developed as a concession to the government for the rights to develop the palm oil plantation. Now these animals are on an island of jungle surrounded by a food desert and dependent on their keepers for food. So as these survivors await their future, I don't expect any success stories, at least in the near future, for Borneo. Our last stop is on the island of Rencha in Indonesia. We're here to see the Komodo Dragon. Komodo National Park was established in 1980, and in 1991 it became a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Komodo dragons usually weigh around 150 pounds and measure 7.5 to 8.5 feet, making them the largest lizard living today. The Timor deer is their favorite food. They'll eat up to 80% of their body weight at one time. We were told not to worry about the fat dragons, but be afraid of the skinny ones. They have been known to attack humans. Good thing we had rangers to protect us, but we were a little skeptical when all they had was a forked stick to save us from a hungry dragon. The dragon population was 3,014 in 2015, a 6% decline from 2013 due to a decline in the pig and deer population. We've been privileged to see some amazing, rare, unusual, and endangered species in the past 15 years. The question is, how many will be around in 15 more years? Experts estimate that species are now lost at a rate 1,000 to 10,000 times higher than the natural extinction rate. In a conservative estimate, there are 2 million different species today in the world. So that means that between 200 and 2,000 extinctions happen every year, thanks in large part to we humans. All that makes us want to get out there and see more before they're not there to see.